personality today is a young man who has made it easy for all of us to rent and buy homes from wherever we are in the world within Ghana. I'm talking about the CEO of Mikasa. They have over 45,000 listed on their website, and every month they get over 200,000 views. He's going to talk to us about his life, a bit about Mikasa, and we can all learn something from his journey. To join the conversation, use the hashtag BreakfastDaily and the WhatsApp line 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, just use the country code +233, and I'll ask him all the questions you have. Good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning, Jifa.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for being with us.
No worries.
When was the last time I saw you?
I don't remember.
Tell us about Mikasa.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, we are the biggest real estate website in Ghana. So we all know this real estate market. There are three major issues that we've tackled. Yeah. One of them, obviously, is with trust. We've had a lot of stories about agents trying to hook you, people trying to sell fake lands to you. And even, I think, a week ago, I saw a news on Ghana Police official websites, official Facebook page on Facebook, where two agents who were trying to rook innocent tenants who were just looking for a place to rent. And so we built a very, very credible website where you could go find lots of different options. We know in the process of renting or buying, you want to see at least 4 or 5 different properties that is available for you. And every month we include not less than 1,005 new listings for tenants and people who are looking to buy. And the last option is the ease. So wherever you are, whether you live abroad, whether you're locally here, and anywhere you're looking for property, you just have to log on to the website, or you can just download the app on your phone and you're good to go. So that's the problem that we've solved. Why
were you so passionate about solving this particular issue?
So I would say in the beginning, it wasn't about property. I just wanted to do something on my own. I wanted to move into the entrepreneurial space. I wanted to solve a problem, obviously locally. So when I got the opportunity to go to MEST and took 2 years of training where I learned about the different ways of seeing problems and how to approach investors and how to raise money and the different markets in terms of the skills you needed if you wanted to penetrate, I realized that, okay, if I wanted to do something in the entrepreneurial space, then it had to be in Ghana and it had to be a local problem. And so that's when the property idea came up.
Wow. Now let's just backtrack to your life. Where did you grow up? How was life like as a child? What did you want to be when someone asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up, little Kelvin?
Yeah. So I promised I was going to share more detail about my childhood, which I probably haven't shared in any other previous interview with you.
Wow.
Just because of you.
Thank you.
So I mean, I grew up like the average Ghanaian, but then typically, growing up in the Elwe family, you're used to having, usually you have your mom very quiet, cool, collected, more open to you than your dad. My dad, very, very strict man. So I will share a story. When we first started school, I used to live in Labadi. So they took us to this school for KG and primary 1. And one day my dad just showed up. I was in the class. So he just showed up and called me and asked me to pick my bag and my books and follow him back home. And I was surprised. Yeah. I mean, I was young. I couldn't ask. I was like 6 years, 7 years. I couldn't ask what the problem was. But then when I got home, I didn't ask him directly. I spoke to my mom later in the evening, and she said, you know what, my dad complained that he just wanted to, shadow, just show up one day and just see how the tuition was going and all of that. And he overheard one of the teachers speaking vernacular.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so that was the reason.
So that's why you're out of the school.
Very, very petty. So at least that plan A was executed very well, but there was no plan B. Yeah. So when next? Where I was going to continue school. So at the time, my mom, I don't know if you remember, but this was around early 90s. My mom was part of the Rollins time. They had this 31st December Women's Movement. Where they had lots of different kindergarten schools. So my mom was teaching in one of the schools. So she came up with an idea. She wanted to quit and relocate and find a new job. So she found a different school in Nungwa. She went there, applied, she got into the school. And then she did her own assessment about the school, and she thought that they had better facilities. Of course, the tuition was better. and she advised my dad to bring us there. So that was the plan B. So for close to 3 months, 4 months, we didn't have any school to move to. So when I couldn't speak. I was still very young. But when they took us to the school, I saw the facilities. I mean, they had a basketball court. They had a small, football
upgrade.
field. Serious upgrade. So I couldn't complain. So for me, that was when I started to show interest in basketball. A lot of people didn't know this side of me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You play basketball.
I played more basketball than football.
Wow.
Honestly, yeah. But I had a very terrible accident, so I had to stop.
Oh no.
One time I was playing. Yeah, it was a very silly mistake I did. I was playing and chewing gum, and I think someone was trying to net, and I, short as I was, trying to, forcing myself to put the guy down, and then he elbowed me, and so I think my tongue was, I just cut my tongue very deep. Yeah.
How old were you?
Maybe class 4.
How did your dad react?
See, he just told me not to do anything sporty anymore.
Basketball.
I lost the opportunity to do anything. Yeah, because he came, even when I was at the hospital, he came shouting and was very pissed that I was supposed to be studying or doing the quiet time. If it was break time, he was very pissed. So I couldn't play basketball anymore. He stopped me from playing football. But because I was a child, I still found my way to play football. Anytime he caught me, I received the lashes.
And you were fine with that?
Yeah, I was fine. So I think during primary school, I didn't really sit down to think about what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was getting to GSS 3 when I started asking myself, because at the time you had to pick a school, you had to decide the course you wanted to do. And I said, okay, my mom, I didn't discuss this with my dad. My dad always knows what he wants me to do. And so I sat down with my mom and I was like, I enjoy like seeing planes, and I wish I could, be a pilot. It's like, okay, maybe then you have to study science.
A pilot?
Yeah.
Why?
Nothing really, because I had to pick a course going into secondary school, right? And then usually they would ask you, that was like 2002, they said GSS in 2000, they would ask you the courses, they would ask your teachers.
Now you're
first.
giving us your age a bit. How old are you, Kelvin?
I'm a little above 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've achieved a lot.
Really?
You have.
Really?
Now maths, let's talk about maths. Why did you decide to do maths in KNUST?
So I think there's a little of drama in secondary school. Maybe I'll share that before we get into
go for it.
So when I was applying for secondary school, I picked a boys' school, Presec, if you don't mind me mentioning. That was because a lot of my friends went to Presec. And unfortunately, I didn't get the grades to study science.
Wow.
They were willing to offer general arts. My dad said no. My dad was really pissed with me. He said,
why?
So I was kind of good with my grades when I was in GSS. I had really good grades. I think the lowest I had was 7.1 at the time. I was really sick and ill. So he expected me to get nothing less than 8.1s. And our time we had to reset. They cancelled all the papers. I don't want to give excuses, but it happened that I didn't make the grade that would take me to
still
Presec.
a lot of pressure for a young man.
So he was really, really pissed. He said very, I don't know if he's watching, but he said very, very...
Let's be kind to him if he's watching.
Very, 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 very nasty things to me. So at the time, I didn't know who to confide in. Yes, I spoke to my mom. At night, I sat down and cried because I felt like I had disappointed my parents, especially my dad. So I came up with another idea. I didn't pick my second choice. The teachers picked for me. So I spoke to my mom and told her, you know what, if I have to go to a different school, then I prefer AIS, Akosomo International. But you have to take an exam to get into that school. And she didn't know if it was a good idea to speak to my dad about it. And I said, okay, why not? Let's try. So she called my dad and spoke to him and said, this is my decision. And my dad was like, okay, if you two want to take this path, take me out.
What?
Yeah. That was how strict my dad was.
Wow.
Yeah. So my mom was like,
that's extreme.
Very extreme. That's typical.
He's
changed now.
I'm sure my dad is watching. He's the same. Doji's the same to his children too. Hopefully they change. Yeah,
but he's a changed man now. His karma is older and all of that. Yeah. So there was no option for us to, because my mom didn't want to take that risk. I was like, you know what, don't worry, just go to this senior high school. So Jifar, for like 2 semesters, in the secondary school I went to, I wasn't studying.
Wow.
Yeah, I literally had my grades were really poor. I had like F in maths.
Why?
That was one of my favorites. Because I wasn't studying. I wanted, at the time they would send your grades to your parent. mail them to your dad. So I thought my dad would see and question me and ask me what the issue was. He didn't.
How did that make you feel?
I mean, the only reason why I changed and started sitting up was because the authorities called me. Second time, they were like, hey, dude, if you have to continue this way, we have to let you go because you're in a science class. And they were actually pasting our grades at the back of the class. So, yeah, I mean, people saw me, I was like, who's this dumb dude and always not performing. So I realized that, no, let me sit up because my dad wasn't paying attention.
But why were you trying to get his attention so much?
Because I wanted to change the school.
Wow.
I wanted to change because if he gave me the opportunity to speak about, because he knows I'm not like a very terrible student. At least I'll tell him, you know, I want to change schools. If you allow me, I don't mind going back and starting from one, all over again. He didn't. So I think that was when I started thinking about independence, self-independence. Like, how can I be self-independent? Yeah. And honestly, the only thing that came in mind was I had to make money to be self-independent because I didn't want to rely on my dad.
How old were you around that time?
This is 2000, because I completed SS 2005.
Okay.
Yeah, in the teens.
Yeah. 16.
16, thereabout, 17, thereabout. So, yeah, I made it. I mean, I wrote my SSE. I made it. I made the grades. My dad thought again that I should go and better my biology. I wasn't good at biology. I never had A in biology. I always get B or C. Yeah. Wow. So I said no. I mean, any course I get, I don't mind taking it because at the time I knew that I wanted to move into entrepreneurial space because I wanted to be very independent.
But how difficult was it to actually say no to your dad?
It was very easy at the time because he took his mind off me for a long time in high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't feel neglected, abandoned?
No, because maybe I was used to it. Yeah. My mom came more often to visit. I spoke to my mom more. My dad really still felt like I disappointed him and all of that. And he didn't really, I mean, our men really show emotions. They are just like streets like that. So when I made it to tech and they gave me maths was one of my favorites. I mean, I used to be very, very, very good in maths. I don't know now. I haven't done anything maths apart from calculating revenue and making sure my books are clean. Yeah. So when I got into maths, it was pretty easy in the first year, but second year maths in university was crazy. It's all variables and there's nothing about numbers. Numbers was the easiest part. Yeah. But at the time, I realized that's when my entrepreneurial journey started because 2007-8, internet cafe was a big deal. Yeah. I attempted to start that. And then later, we wanted to do a remedial school. I was going to take maths and chemistry. My other colleagues were going to take other subjects just to make some extra income before MEST.
So at what point did you decide that, okay, I've heard about this MEST thing and I'm going to do it? And viewers, if you have any questions for Kelvin, he's the CEO of Mikasa, okay? If you've not heard of Mikasa, just Google them. They're a place where you can find properties, you can rent apartments. They make it easy for you to get rid of those agents who want to take advantage of us by doing all the hard work for us. And he's so young, he's just in his early 30s. And they raised, what, $1 million a couple of years ago? Over $1 million for Mikasa a couple of years ago. So the story gets interesting as we go. But the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. And the WhatsApp line is 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, just use the country code +233 and I'll ask him all your questions. Okay. Meltwater Entrepreneurship School of Technology. Yeah. When did you hear about them and why did you decide to go there?
So before MEST, like I said, I was already used to traditional business, internet cafe. Remedial school we had not started, but we were almost, about starting because we had printed flyers and all of that. And I was doing my national service at Bema Camp. I was a teacher.
Okay. Did you enjoy it?
Initially, I didn't want to. I wanted to change because I wanted a more corporate work experience because of my mindset. I knew I was going to move into entrepreneurial space, so I wanted to know how things work in the corporate space. But when I got into it, I realized that because I didn't have a lot of self-confidence, standing in front of people, trying to convince people to listen to me, trying to get their attention, trying to know who is paying attention, who is not, and trying to figure out who is not doing well and how to help them improve and all of that. So that challenged me. And apart from that, I got a lot of time because after writing exams, you have like 2 months vacation, sometimes a month vacation. you close very early. So I had a lot of time to do a lot of different things. So one time I was late for work and I was watching TV. I usually watch Good Morning Ghana at the time in NTV3. Yeah,
but now you watch TV.
Yeah, I'm watching TV. So I saw an advert. They came in with their crew, talked about MEST and how they were trying to help young students and entrepreneurs move into the software space, full sponsored scholarship. And I thought, okay, I started reading. That was my first time started to read about online businesses. Because when I was in school, I think the biggest social media platform was High Five and MySpace. And even at the time, you had to go to the cafe, to go and check your mail and reply and all of that. So I wasn't very, familiar with the online space. So I said, okay, let me read about these guys. I took some time, did, and I realized that it's relatively easier than the traditional business that I want to move into or that I've already started. Yeah. So I applied. And luckily, I was selected to move into the school.
How was it 2 years at MEST like?
At first I thought 2 years was too much, honestly, because I just wanted to move straight into starting something. But then the way they structured it, I realized that you had to get the training, you had to take your time, you had to study the market. There were a lot of things that I didn't know, even though I had attempted entrepreneurship or I had a degree in maths or I did a lot of different things or read a lot of different things. There's still a lot of different things that I didn't know. First of all, like how to even pitch to an investor, how to do market research, and the very important things to look out for when you're doing market research, how to go to the customer, for instance, how to think about the customer and put yourselves in the shoes of the customer. So there are lots of different things I didn't know. So my first year was a lot about the learning curve. And then the second year, obviously, you come up with a lot of different ideas. MEST, they allow you to explore. So we did explore. We did different ideas. One particular idea that we were very, very passionate about that we didn't move forward with. If you don't mind me, I would like to share that idea.
Go for it.
So I used to, and I've shared this a couple of times, I used to live with my mom and my sister. My dad, fortunately they separated, so my dad left. So my sister used to do this very annoying thing. She didn't have like a lot of, I hope she's not listening. She didn't have a lot of confidence in her dressing. So before she went to work, she would wear the dress on ironed and wake me up and ask,
what do you think of this? And you're like, really?
Seriously, So when I went to MEST, I'm like, can we create an Instagram type of app where she could dump her clothes in a wardrobe, virtual wardrobe? And then maybe the boyfriend or the girlfriend or invite someone else, to do this engagement with.
Not your brother.
Not me. Yeah. So, it sounded like a really exciting idea at the time, 2011, 12, thereabout. And we put together the whole pitch, the market research and the business model, and we pitched to an investor. He was so excited about it. We had a lot of different use cases. But then we took a step back. I sat down with my co-founders at the time. I'm like, guys, look at us. I'm not into the fashion space. I have no idea. I don't have any networks in the fashion space. You guys, also do not have that kind of connection. And this business looks like it would thrive more in the European or the US than in Africa. And secondly, if we wanted a lot of money to build this, we're not going to get that kind of money. Because we had to make sure the app looked really, really clean and worked very well. So we sadly had to say no to that idea, even though the investor was ready to fund us.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a big one. So we started looking at local ideas, ideas that we could directly influence. We had the practical knowledge, and maybe if we didn't have that direct practical knowledge, it's easy for us to learn because we understand the culture. And again, that independence that I talked about. I attempted to leave my mom and rent on my own. Yeah. So I came up with that idea again. I'm like, I had this experience in the past where I was looking for a single room some time back, and I had this difficulty. So can we explore this and see? And so we did. I became a real estate agent for a while because I wanted to understand the whole process.
The entire supply chain.
The entire value chain. Wow. So I listed on one free classified. Someone will call me, I take them to the property. They like it, they give questions, object to it, and all of that. I took notes of all of these different processes. And then we put together a pitch again and sold to the investor. I remember one of his concerns was the fact that at the time, 2013, there were other competitors who came in with a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, multinational, websites with investors backing them from all over. So he was worried, like, Kelvin, how are you guys going to compete with these guys? Because, I mean, I can't give you more than $90,000.
Yeah.
And these guys are all over on TV, radio, lots of different marketing channels. How are you going to do it? I'm like, don't worry. I mean, this is our market. We understand the market more than them. And I can go and knock at every agent's door. They can't do that. Yeah. So give me the money and I'll prove you wrong.
How was that first year like for you? Startup, you have $90,000, but your competitors have millions of dollars.
So I think I probably, there was too much passion that I overlooked a lot of things. So a typical example is, when you're raising money from an investor, you have to come up with a business plan. And the investors take the business plan very, very personal. It's like their Bible. Yeah. So you have to be careful what you put in the business plan. And your projections and all of that. I just assumed that, the first 6 months, we should be bringing in lots of dollars. Yeah. So I put in the projection that the first 6 months we should be making X revenue. So we went for the first board meeting. I mean, that was just 3 months after we launched. It was okay. Everybody was cool, collected. We spoke less about money. Second board meeting was very heated.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was walking into the board meeting with negatives, no revenue. Yeah, I mean, that was probably my worst board meeting ever.
How did the investors react?
I mean, I was like, Jon, I mean, we are friends. we were just having, drinks together. What was happening? I mean, it was only business for him.
Wow.
Just asking why I promised this, why we need to deliver, what have we been doing. I mean, lots of questions. So I just, put my head down and I had to reassure him. So we had to go back to the drawing board and change lots of different things.
Wow.
So one of the strategies, I mean, we realized that we couldn't spend a lot of money on traffic because if you're building a marketplace, the playbook is there. You need to grow your content, you need to grow your traffic, you need to grow leads, user experience, and then you come to revenue. Yeah. So we had to do lots of different strategies.
You can't skip steps.
Yeah, we had to skip lots of steps, but we had to do it really quickly without really spending dollars because we couldn't spend more than $2,000 every month.
Wow.
That includes the office space, salary,
marketing,
sales, everything.
Wow.
I mean, we were really not paying ourselves anything at the time. Yeah.
How did you now go from $90,000 to raising over $1 million?
So before the $1 million, I think we took close to a year to go back to the drawing board to rebuild the business. So we had very good content. We had very good traffic. Like I said, we did lots of different things. We did lots of partnership with, I think at the time it was Versace. We did a partnership where they would allow us to put our listings on their website. Same with Ghana Web. Multimedia. So we did we're getting a lot of traffic. Agents were, now confident to list on our platform. And then we started monetizing slowly. So we were running out of cash. I mean, if you're doing an online business, it's really, really tough. You have to keep burning cash until you have all the KPIs set to make a lot of money. So I think we had about $35,000 left.
Wow.
And we said, we had to stop spending, paying ourselves, and we had to look for extra money because the business had just taken off. Our investor, obviously, is not the typical Series A type. He just does seed funding, the first investor, Jon. So we were looking at different options. I mean, I spoke with a lot of different investors from Nigeria, from Europe. And then one morning, I don't know what I did. I don't know where I slept. I got this.
The universe.
The universe
like,
was so kind to me.
Too much.
Yeah. So I got this very nice email from all the way from Malaysia, Frontier Digital Ventures, saying they've been following us for a while, and so they would like to have a chat. I mean, I was a little skeptical because when investors say they want to have a chat, it's just one of those things where they speak with you and they vanish. And I was right in the beginning. They came, we had a chat. They wanted to know about the business, the market, and all of that. And after 1 hour interview, they went off for like 3 months.
Wow.
And trust me, I was so desperate.
Yeah.
I didn't know if to send them an email and ask them, Charlie, what's happening? Are you guys interested? Or should I continue to build a business and look for other options? So they came back 2015, and I know usually investors, when they want to fund, they speak to lots of different companies.
Yeah.
So they had spoken with lots of other competitors, but they came back. So probably saw something in me or in the business. And we had a chat, and they said, okay, now we want to actually invest. How much are you looking for to grow the business? Where can you take the business in the next 2 to 3 years? And what's the bigger picture? And we agreed on $800,000 investment at the time. So we did a shareholders agreement. They invested $500K immediately, and there were terms to invest the follow-up $300,000. But since then, I mean, we've done lots of other investments. We've acquired our competition. And
how were you able to acquire Jumia House Ghana? That's a big deal. I mean, when you guys started, they were the market leaders.
Yeah, they were clear market leaders. Jumia House, I mean, they were doing a lot of things right, I have to admit. That's obviously why we approached them. But in the year 2017, when we did, that wasn't the plan. We had never made any budgets in my business plan that we're going to look at acquiring our competition. The plan was to continue to compete with them on traffic, on leads, on all the other KPIs, and exceed them by a margin of at least times 1.5 or 2 if it was possible. And one time, my investors said they had to speak with me. It was very urgent. So I jumped on a call, and then they told me Jumia, their investors, Rocket Internet, they were interested in, my investors have other portfolios. Yeah. So they told them they were invested in another portfolio in a different country. They were interested in acquiring that business. And so we had to sit down and look at, okay, do they sell that business to them? Because that business belonged to my second investor. Do they sell it to them, or do we do a swap deal? Okay. So I had to do a proper analysis on the Jumia website and their business to see whether it made sense, because we're going really, really fast. We're almost catching up. So I did the analysis. I realized, okay, if we buy them at a very good price, it would get us to where we want to get to quicker. So we had to re-strategize and think about where the money is going to come from, what the assets of Jumia are, and look at the client, because we had very similar clients. You have to look at clients that like to use Meqasa, clients that dislike Meqasa, clients just that want to just use Jumia House, and how do you bring this? How do you marry these two? So we did. I mean, it was a very revealing experience and exercise for me, because I had not done that. I mean, it was just a young guy trying to build a website.
You were like in your 20s.
Yeah. Just a young guy trying to build a website, and then all of a sudden there's this big deal where we have to acquire a competition, and I have to learn on the job really, really fast. Yeah.
Wow. What's next for Mikasa?
I mean, lots of people are asking us to move from Ghana and open in other markets. I won't deny that. I mean, we've considered other interesting markets like Kenya, like South Africa, North of Africa. But I think there's still a lot that we haven't done yet in Ghana. We want to continue to improve the experience for buyers and for seekers who are looking to buy locally, who are looking to buy from abroad. We want to make sure we are involved in the whole value chain, the whole process. So even if they want mortgage, how do we help them in the process? If they want paperwork, how do we facilitate that process for them? So we just want the whole experience to be 360, and then from there, maybe in the next 2 years, we can look at moving to a different market. Yeah.
So for all the aspiring entrepreneurs watching you, from a young man dealing with confidence issues to now running the biggest online marketplace for homes in Ghana, what advice would you give them?
I mean, I'm still young anyway, but those who are now thinking about dropping their 5 to 9 to 5 job, now, looking at moving to the space, I would say, and this is advice I picked from, my investors, make sure, I mean, you can't do it alone. So if you have to work with someone, make sure you work with the right people. Find someone who is good. Okay. When I say good, it's not necessarily someone with the best talent, someone who is like extremely smart. The person needs to be good. The person needs to be committed. The person needs to be willing, to sacrifice. Because when you start a business, once you decide to start a business, especially in Africa, it will take you close to 3 to 4 years to know if the business model works for your customers, and that includes tweaking a lot of niche and tweaking. So the person needs to be ready and willing to commit at least 3 to 4 years of their time. And secondly, I mean, the idea needs to be big enough. I'm not saying those trying to do small businesses, it's not good. But then maybe in Africa or in Ghana, we need to create a lot of jobs for the graduates. So think about a big idea if possible. And investors want big idea. So if you want to raise more money to grow your business, it's all about the numbers. So think about a big idea. And then the rest, I think, just keep executing. Don't give up.
How many employees do you have now?
We don't have a lot. I think we are now like just 20.
20?
Yeah.
So you're creating jobs, helping people who want to sell their homes, and also, Kelvin, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Where do we follow Mikasa? Where do we follow you?
Yeah.
Give us all the information.
So, like I said in the beginning, if you want to rent or buy, please. It's very expensive to buy a house. You work your off every time and save a lot of money. And so when you decide to buy that property, don't rush. Don't see any good deal on any other website and jump to pay the money. Go on Mikasa. We've done all the job for you. We work with very trusted agents. We make sure we verify them before they post. Beyond that, we have direct communication with them on a daily basis. We know where their offices are. And so these guys are really, really trusted agents and developers. You can go there and find lots of different options wherever you want to find a property, whatever land, property you want to buy or rent. Log on to Mikasa, meqasa.com, or you can go on social media and find us, and we'll be there to serve you.
Thank you so much, Kelvin, for being with us. And I'm a proud Mikasa client. I go, that's where I go to get my places to rent. And most of my friends use Mikasa. I hope you've been inspired. So wherever you are, you can determine your destiny. I mean, he's just in his early 30s, created the biggest online marketplace for housing in Ghana, bought out Jumia House Ghana and raised over $1 million. You don't have any excuse to not chase your dreams. Hi there. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends.
This is Breakfast Daily on City TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.